Good morning. Got ourselves a little project. We're changing a radiator on a 2013 Dodge Journey. Two things to note before we get started. First, the AC system has to be evacuated. There can't be any charge in the AC system because the condenser has to come out of the vehicle. So we have to disconnect two AC lines. So we need to evacuate the AC system. If you don't have the equipment, that's okay. Take it down to your local shop somewhere of your choice. Have them evacuate it out. Take it home, do all the work, bring it back to them, and they'll recharge it for you. So that's number one. And number two is the manual says to take off the whole bumper skin, but you don't have to. Just the grill needs to come off, not the whole bumper. And we'll show you that as we do it. All right, well, let's get started. Well, the AC is evacuating. We're gonna go under the vehicle. We have it lifted up, and we're gonna pull off this plastic cover so we can drain the radiator. It's just held on by these clips all the way around the bumper, and then a few inside here. We'll just pull those clips off. Having something like this works really good getting these clips. So these clips are having a real hard time coming off. So instead of breaking a whole bunch, I'm just gonna pull it off. All right, the glare. But right here is the lower radiator hose where it goes into this metal pipe. We're gonna just pull it from here and just let it drain right there. Just a pair of pliers. Nothing special. Twist. An angled pick worked really good getting these stuck hoses on or off. There we go. Almost. Alright, so I'm up top. To get better access to that radiator hose from up here, we're going to just pull this air box off. Super easy to do. 8mm gets the box off. It also has a Phillips head if that works best for you. This little hose here on the side. Pop that off. And we'll pull it off here from the hose. Also an 8mm. And we have a 10mm here, clip here. I'm not winning with these clips. All right, so now it should just pull up. There's two grommets on the side that it's held into, but just pop it up. It should pull right up. Might need to pull this grill off the rest of the way, but there we go. Now this box removed, it exposes this whole area really nicely. So that's that lower radiator hose. We're gonna pull that off. It's already loose, we're just gonna pull it the rest of the way out, let it drain. That way we're not under it when it starts gushing out. All right, radiator is drained and we are in the negative pressure, so we're good on our AC system. We'll go ahead and turn the machine off and we are ready to start getting access to this radiator. So on the passenger side, we want to pull off this upper radiator hose and these two AC lines right here connected to the condenser. Right back here, easy to get to, easy to see. So that's what we're going to do next. When you pull the AC lines off, when you crack it loose, just be careful, there could be some residual pressure inside. 13mm on the AC lines. Let me pull the hose off first, get that out of the way. So just a pair of angle needle nose or any kind of pliers that you can get in there. There we go. Set that aside. Let's come off and out of the way. Alright, perfect. So that's it on that side. So now we'll go and pull the grill off. So the grill just has these clips that come off. So far, these haven't wanted to really come off. But maybe this one's coming There we go. Get a better screwdriver. So 2 screwdrivers, and then should just pop out like that. There we go. So just these clips come off. Usually they're easy, but these are a little stiff this morning. Alright, so all of them should be loose. And now we can separate this from the bumper. There's little clips, you take a corner of it, kind of pull and wiggle. It should unclip. There we go. So there's 1. There we go, 2, 3. It's a little scary because you don't want to break the plastic, but it's designed to come off. Go. There. Let me show you what the clips look like. There's just these clips here with the plastic with a little ridge. All right, that gives us access to what we need on this side. So we'll disconnect the horn. 10 mil for the horn. Let me show you what's holding the transmission cooler on. So this front one is the transmission cooler. The next one is the condenser, and the one behind it is the radiator. So this cooler is held on by 1. There's 1 down here, 2. So 2 on this side, and then 1 on this side, 10 millimeters. We'll pull that off, and then this can just go down and rest there out of the way. Alright, 3 of those. This should come off. There we go. Just down and out of the way. So right there is 1 more 10 millimeter bolt. Pulling that might give us a little more wiggle room for the transmission cooler lines. Alright, yeah, a little more room, not a crazy amount. So now the condenser and the radiator come out as 1 unit. Let me show you where the clips are on the back. On the driver's side by the washer fluid reservoir, there's a clip right there. And on the passenger side, right underneath that nipple for the upper radiator hose, there's another clip. Let me try to show you one-handed. So this clip, the up and bottom, you just pinch together, and that's all there is to it. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy. So let's do that, and then we'll pull the condenser and the radiator out together, and then we'll separate them off the vehicle. Something's preventing it. Let me find it and then I'll show you what it was. But this side is free coming out. So we're hanging up on the passenger side some. So what we're going to do, right where those 2 lines went into the condenser, there's a 10 millimeter bolt on the side of that. We're going to pull that off, and that'll separate the condenser from the radiator while it's still on the vehicle. Alright, so I got that bolt on the passenger side. So now, just like the radiator clips into the body, the condenser clips into the radiator. Same way, there's these 2 little clips you push in, and then it can separate. Not too crazy. This over here doesn't have as much room, but let me see if I can do it one-handed. No, I'm not a magician. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this two-handed, and then this condenser should be able to come out of the vehicle on its own. Just hanging up on that. So it's hanging up on this piece of plastic. I'm just pushing the plastic in with a screwdriver. Condenser is out. Feel free to pressure wash this thing if it's super dirty. Alright, now let's see if this comes out any easier. Alright, there's the magic. I kept this lower radiator hose on. Let's see if it needs to be removed or not. You might need to. So I want to move the washer fluid reservoir. We're going to move this back in, and then we'll get better access to that hose clamp. Alright, pulling this washer fluid reservoir is pretty easy. 2.8 millimeters. Just move this whole thing out of the way. There, that's it. Because all we need access is that bottom hose. Long straight pliers. It's hard to film where this is. I lied, they're too long. Regular pliers. Alright, I didn't film it because I didn't know if it was going to work. On this end, that hose clamp, I took off the hose completely. Then I can fold the hose and push it in. And you can see, hopefully it'll get enough light, that it's folded. And then it came out that way. Obviously that's not the preferred method, but it did work. I'm going to do it a little different, putting it back on, but that's what I had to do to get it off. So now this whole radiator can just be pulled up. I was struggling with that hose because this clamp right here is really hard to get to. The pinch piece is at the bottom of it, so I couldn't get in it, and I couldn't even get it loose enough to bring it around for a better grip. And then getting it from this side, I pulled this off, but that didn't seem to help, at least this time. Maybe getting it on, it might help, but I couldn't get anything in there to get that clamp off. So anyway, that's what I had to do. It is doable. You just kink the hose and push it through so it's double wide. But you have to take that hose clamp off, otherwise that hose clamp, this one, will get in the way. So take this off the hose completely. Alright, so now we should be ready to pop this up. It's only because I'm filming, that's why it's not wanting to cooperate. There we go. There we go. There may be a little coolant left in your radiator, so just beware of that. So now we want to just check the new one with the old one to see that they're exactly the same. Everything is where it needs to be. Size is the same and all that. You can see where this one was leaking. Right in between the fins had a leak. All right, so I think I'm gonna try putting that hose on first. Just like we took it off, bend it in half. I think I'm gonna try putting that on that way. So that's what I'm gonna do. Other than that, there's really nothing else to swap over. It's just plug and play. So after I put that hose on, we'll just drop the new radiator in, lock it in, and then put our condenser in, lock that in, and then our transmission cooler, lock that in and button everything up. Also on this vehicle, we're doing the thermostat. So perfect, prime opportunity. The cooling system is drained already. So it's a 10 millimeter bolt up top, 10 millimeter bolt down below, and we'll pull this off. And then we'll separate the thermostat from the hose when it's off the vehicle. And then before I forget, because I may forget later, but there's this Phillips port right here. That's the bleeder. So when we fill up the cooling system, we want to crack that bleeder, fill up the coolant until coolant starts to dribble out that bleeder, then we'll close it and top it off the rest of the way. So let's pull this thermostat off. The other one's down just behind it. I can't get with my power tool. It's just a small 10 mil. Well, there shouldn't be much coolant in here if there is any. If any gets on your belt, you'll want to wash it off just with some water before starting the vehicle. Otherwise it could cause a squeak. Okay, this should come right out. There. Easy peasy. Now again, there'll be coolant in the hose. All right, so now we'll just pull this hose off, and I'll show you a trick to lining it all up. Not really a trick, but I think it's kind of a trick. Tip. All right, so the old one, when you get it off the hose, let's see if you could get it in the camera. Right there is a dimple. That dimple is where this little piece was. So when you put it on, you line it up with that dimple, just like that, and then you don't have to worry about it being a little off or a little crooked when you put it on. So just right in the dimple. Then we could put our hose back on while it's off the vehicle. All right, so these pliers work better. Then we could put it on right where it was, boom. And now we can put this back on. Make sure it has the O-ring on it before putting it on, otherwise it'll leak. The car wasn't overheating or anything, but this is more of a replacement of opportunity. You're in here, everything's sweet, you don't have to do this later. And there is a torque spec, but I don't know it. It's a plastic housing with a rubber gasket, so it doesn't take a lot. Good and snug. Okay, good. All right, perfect. All right. Let's fold this in half. There we go. It's just maneuvering it around this portion of the transmission cooler. There, perfect. Yeah, folding that hose in half, beautiful. All right, and then try to find it little home at the bottom. This is the old one, but these feet right here at the bottom fit into a little hole, or a slot, I should say. So we'll just make sure they go in their slot. There we go. Okay. Now push down as you push in. So one thing to note is this plug for your horn. Don't forget that. It can get stuck behind this, which is easy. You just pop that clip in the back, pull it out a little to get this out. All right, our condenser, where did I set that? Get this in. So same thing, it has a spot on the bottom, and then it just locks in like before. There we go. There we go. And then that 10 mil bolt up here. Put our AC lines back on in the back. Take a look at your gaskets for these hoses. If they look like they should be replaced, go ahead and replace them. You can get a O-ring kit from the auto parts store. Put our horn on. All right, plugged in. Let's put our transmission cooler back on. And don't forget that tranny line back here that we took off. Get that real quick. I have to actually pull the cooler off again. So remember that line, we pulled that off just to get a little extra access. Put this back on. It still helps pulling it off because it allowed me to get under there to fold the hose in half. Now this is bolting into plastic, so just keep that in mind. Doesn't have to be crazy tight, you'll strip it. So we can put our box on. If there's any debris in it, we can go ahead and just knock it off. All right. last thing is the grill. I should just snap into place. There we go. And then our clips, and then we're done. We can fill it up with coolant, and then if you need to, we'll take it to the local shop where we got it evacuated, and we'll get it refilled with AC refrigerant. All right, there you go. That is the replacement of a radiator on a 2013 Dodge Journey. I believe every single Dodge Journey ever built is exactly done like this. Once you get the AC evacuated, it's really not too crazy of a job. My biggest issue was just that lower radiator hose, getting it off. Once I found the kink method, it was actually really easy. Came out, went back in really smooth. I think that's about it. Took just a couple hours to do everything. Again, the bleeding procedure for the coolant is just that little bleeder on top of the thermostat housing. Fill it up with coolant until coolant comes out of there. Put that bleeder back on, finish topping it off, take it for a good spin, let the engine warm up, make sure it's not overheating, and then bring it back home, let it cool down, and then top off as needed. All right, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. See you on the next one.